Hey guys, welcome back to releasethecraftin. Priscilla here. This is hashtag FTC4. That's the full deck challenge hosted by Shauna at Shanuki Art. This is week 9. The prompts that I chose for this week were text, weaving, vellum, flowers, and pink. Did I use pink? I don't remember. There's a possibility. I don't even remember what I put on this card, to be fair. So, at any rate, continuing the thread that I've started over the last 2 days, we're going to talk about the other type of commenter that I wanted to talk about, the meat and potatoes of this conversation, which is what I am affectionately sort of calling the non-egregious offender. I'm gonna define that here is essentially the non-egregious offender is somebody who writes a comment that is seemingly non-egregious. Like, it's not a bad faith comment. It's not them being nasty about anything. It's just sort of a person making a statement or asking a question that turns into something offensive depending on how you read it. And I'm kind of seeing that come up a lot more. I was seeing it more like in the fandom discourse where people would just sort of say something that might have been like a question or a statement where they were like, I kind of liked this from before, not this thing now. And because it's lacking context or tone, it's sort of being wildly interpreted in a way that can come across as very offensive depending on how you read it. And I see comments like this quite often, and I choose to answer them pretty normally because I operate from the assumption that, one, English is not everybody's first language. And so the fact that people are interacting with me in English, despite it not being their first language, is a benefit to me. And I'm very thankful for that because I only speak English and American Sign Language, which you can't type out. So I appreciate when people who are non-English speakers type their comments out in English or use Google Translate to type in their comments. There is a feature in YouTube that allows me to translate comments, and I think you can do it as just a watcher as well. But I'm speaking from somebody who's looking at the comments from a different place. I'm able to translate the thing, but stuff gets lost in translation, tone gets lost in translation, tone just gets lost in digital media, and I try not to assume anyone's tone. So sometimes I'll read a comment and I'll be like, okay, how do I even respond to that? Because it's just sort of a strange comment that makes me do like a double take. And sometimes I read it and I take offense because I'm like, what the fuck is this supposed to mean? And I get like a little butthurt, right? But I still respond to that person with a pretty neutral response. Usually I'm just like, thumbs up, thank you, and moving on. Unless they ask me like a direct question, which I try to answer, but then also like move along because I'm not going to assume that this person meant anything like negative in their comment. And if they did, they'll probably follow up and be a douchebag about it. But most of the time people don't really do that. But there's this sort of thing where people will read it, they'll take offense to it, and then they respond to their offense without considering that there's a couple other variables here outside of just like a possible language barrier or an English or like a literature sort of, what do I call it? Not a literature, a grammar sort of thing. Because sometimes it just comes down to people not having good writing skills, and therefore like the way that they write just comes across some kind of way that can be taken offense to. And then the other thing to consider is that they might be lacking context or not realize that their question or statement is offensive or can be offensive depending on how you look at things. Because a lot of times people are just sort of viewing your world through their lens, right? So everything that you guys know about me, you're seeing through this lens right here on YouTube. And if you're also on Instagram, then you're seeing me there. And then there's only a couple of people who talk to me outside of this media who are getting a different picture of me, a wider, broader version of me. And then, there's the people that I know in person or talk to, for long hours outside of even that, who have like the broadest vision of me. People who've known me for years have a much broader vision of what's going on here behind the scenes, what's going on with me, all those sorts of things. But I don't assume that the person whose comment, has come across my channel, possibly and most likely for the first or second time, knows anything about me. They don't know anything about my situation. This might be the first video they ever watch of me. And, this is the first interaction they're having with me. So, I try not to assume their tone or that they're looking at the world through the same lens that I'm looking at it from, because obviously from where I'm standing, things are way different. Um, and then my understanding of what other people know about me is also different because I know more about me than anybody else does, right? So that's why I try not to take offense when I read these comments. I might like feel some kind of way initially, and then I'll I'll go have my little vent with my friends about it and be like, oh, can you believe this? But then I'll come back and be like, all right, well, thanks for asking that question. Let me explain it to you. Oh, I did use pink. Look at that. It's a sticker. I have to come back and finish the last part of this conversation tomorrow. I promise I will not string these out much longer because this conversation is getting crazy. But yeah, look at that. I appreciate your faces, guys. Thanks for hanging in. And until next time, happy crafting and goodbye. I really like how this card came out. Now I'm remembering it.